Hello everybody, welcome to today's show. Guys, we've got a dang good one for you. Trump is stopping all of Biden's pardons. He and Pam Bondi have already gone through all the legalities with the Department of Justice. This is the biggest and baddest news for the Biden family, or as others would say, the Biden crime family, as to them totally being removed from their pardons. Trump said that these Bidens are now void and vacant because there was auto pen use. And now that we have full evidence that Biden was in a cognitive decline, that him and Pam Bondi now have all the evidence they need, and Trump has officially come out to say that the Biden January 6 penal pardons and others, including his family, are void because of the auto pen use. Guys, this is about as big as it gets. This is what it looks like for the whole article from The Hill. This is huge. It's insane. What are they telling us? They're telling us that they're going after the Biden family. They're going after the January 6th committee. They're going after the rest of the people that Biden pardoned, like Anthony Fauci, Mark Milley, John Owens, Hunter Biden, the January 6th committee. All these people are now going to be held accountable. And guys, what I love is that we have multiple instances where, again, Mike Johnson, affidavits, Pam Bondi, everybody's involved with this. Trump has made this statement because they now have the evidence to stop Biden's pardons, and now they can go after all the corruptness that we've been seeing for the past 4 to 8 years. Remember, some of those people were going after Trump even whenever he was president. So this is insane, huge news, guys. I've got all the details for you in just a moment because people are chiming in, the people that are in the know, like Steve Bannon. We've got Caroline Leavitt, who spoke about this at the press conference hearing that you'll be hearing in a moment. This is huge, guys. I love it. We also know now, guys, why the Department of Education was such a fight and is still a fight from all the education executives. We have people like Randy Weingarten, who literally makes $600,000 a year, guys. $600,000 a year working at the Department of Education. She makes hundreds of thousands more than teachers. And she is saying that, oh, these states are not going to get their money. Oh, these states are not. No, you just got fired from this job where you weren't really, you didn't teach any students. You didn't provide any curriculum. You were a leech on the system. And now she's gone. We also have where, again, guys, today's a big day. Our boy Bongino has officially been sworn in as the deputy director of the FBI. It is crazy. All of his videos on Rumble have all been deleted. You know, there's other people that are putting up stuff, but his official channel has officially been deleted. No more online videos, no more presence, guy. This is insane, but he has to do it for his position. But this is one of the deep state's biggest fears is Bongino, Kash Patel, Trump, and Pam Bondi, guys. What a dream team. We also got an update from President Trump concerning the Epstein files, who said, and I quote, "It's going to be released, it's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly." So hopefully that means this week. I want to see, now that Bongino's in, I want to see something happen. I want to see some people being held accountable. But this is beautiful right here, guys. Trump is holding them accountable. And just want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, all of our subscribers and viewers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Let us take care of you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we really appreciate your support so much, everybody. Want to give some love to the members of the channel. In a little less than 5 days, guys, we're going to be doing our online donation to the charity, guys, with your support. Want to say thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for the members. And we just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful to be serving you every day with the top news, guys. We're getting into some deep, deep stuff. We're seeing some accountability, and it's about dang time. And I'll say a lot of you are happy about this. Want to give some love to Mr. Norby for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love. Guys, check this out because, again, too, in this progression of videos I'm going to show you, you're going to see where it starts and where they're going, and it is wonderful. Check this out.
The president was begging the question that I think a lot of journalists in this room should be asking about whether or not the former president of the United States, who I think we can all finally agree was cognitively impaired. I know it took people some time to finally admit that, but we all know that to be true, as evidenced by his disastrous debate performance against President Trump during the campaign. I digress on that. But the president was raising the point that, did the president even know about these pardons? Was his legal signature used without his consent or knowledge? And that's not just the president or me raising those questions, Caitlin. According to the New York Post, there are Biden officials from the previous White House who raised those questions and wondered if the president was even consulted about his legally binding signature being signed onto documents. And so I think it's a question that everybody in this room should be looking into, because certainly that would propose perhaps criminal or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the president of the United States autograph without his consent.
Biden is on the record talking about.
So do you hear this, guys? So again, now we have it. Trump has officially come out and said, hey, these pardons are void. They don't count. We have the evidence now. Look at this. We literally have this video of all the signatures together, coming together. They're exactly the same. Not one single change whatsoever. Why? Because it was auto pen. We know that there was a big, staffers were basically controlling the White House. And now we know that, okay, Trump said they're void, they're vacant. So what happens next? Well, you're about to hear it, guys, because our boy Steve Bannon and all of them are saying, all right, let's now start investigating these people who literally weaponized lawfare against the American people, against Trump, and let's hold them accountable. Check this out.
Before, I don't want, the president's thing's a little too garbled because Air Force One. Talk to me about the pardons. President Trump he's dropping neutron bombs right now. On the pardons, he said, hey, you did it by auto pen. You're in the Bahamas. Therefore, I looked at the law. It doesn't matter. None of the pardons all the pardons for J6 and for Fauci, those last day pardons, are null and void, are they not? According to the President of the United States, the chief magistrate and chief law enforcement officer of these United States, Mike Davis?
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but let's just put it this way. They use the auto pen on the pardons, right? That does not necessarily make the pardons void. What would make the pardons void is if they use the auto pen on the pardons and President Biden didn't know they did it, or it's against President Biden's will. So if he didn't know he's pardoning someone, or he said not to pardon someone and they pardon them anyway, those are clearly void. Look, politicians use auto pens all the time. President Trump has used them. Every prior president has used them. It's that the issue is are they using the auto pen without the president's approval, without his knowledge, against his will? And it sounds like in this instance of President Biden was asked about these pardons and he has no clue that these pardons happened. It sounds like it wasn't with his knowledge and with his consent. And so therefore, there is a strong case that these are not valid pardons.
Let's go.
Okay. The War and Posse is, we were going to start tomorrow. Pressla's going to be on the show. We're going to kick off everything in Wisconsin tomorrow. But they're fired up right now. They want to go to the ramparts right now, Mike Davis, on this entire situation because we have to fight back. Also, one thing before we go to the impeachments and getting people over to Article 3. There was a problem, certain elements of the government, Jefferson, these guys had a problem with how the courts were first stood up and some of the judges. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they passed, it was in 1801, 1802, the kind of restructuring or really the initial Judicial Act. Can't we pass something through the House now and go all in and just restructure this whole thing and start blowing these guys out in a mass purge? Can't we do that to be super aggressive, Mike Davis?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, Steve Bannon, because I'm actually working on that right now with the key Senate staffers.
Let's go.
And other people.
Hold it. Stop. I was just doing my research over the weekend. Are you kidding me? I haven't talked to Davis about this yet. I was throwing one out there. Talk to people about what happened back in the foundation of the country and about this act, why it's so important and why I'm saying, baby, let's do it again.
So the judicial power under Article 3 is with the Supreme Court of the United States. And so that is created by Constitution, but inferior courts are created by Congress. And Congress can create courts, Congress can change courts, Congress can eliminate courts, and they've done that many times over the past. I would say this, that to these DC District Court judges, I don't think you understand and appreciate how much momentum is growing right now to bring major reforms to the DC District Court. Because let's look at it this way. The DC Superior Court, is that constitutional? I'm not sure. That's not an Article 3 court. That handles essentially street crimes and civil disputes among the citizens of DC. And there are like 10 vacancies on the DC Superior Court right now. Maybe we can fix this problem by not filling those vacancies on the DC Superior Court, having the DC District Court with people like Boasberg and Judge Ali and all these other radical judges. Maybe we can change their jurisdiction to the DC Superior Court's jurisdiction. We'll have Boasberg and Ali doing DC street crimes and doing civil disputes between, people in DC who are fighting over whatever the hell they're fighting over.
Guys, is this not amazing, guys? Not only is Trump coming in and bringing justice, but also they're working on undoing all these corrupt judges, all these DC judges that are trying to block Trump from all of his stuff that's happening. Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
And then we can bring in judges from around the country to handle the other cases.
So we have three lines of attack, right? We have three lines of attack. One is the continual absolute evisceration of these radical law firms, right? By taking their security clearances away, cutting out their business with the U.S. government, and that's the way you kind of break the foundational element. In addition, you're saying there may be a legislative part also to kind of do a restructuring like they did at the beginning of the country, right? And do it today where you actually get, restrict what these guys feel to play is. And number three is we use good old impeachment to put people through the process. I don't want people to say, well, you'll never get it passed, waste time. It's not a waste of time. The process, trust the process, and we can start impeaching these judges.
Guys, let's go. These corrupt judges that have been trying to stop Trump and every single thing that he's been doing, it's time for their butts to get impeached. Want to thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat, who said, that's the news I heard earlier about them fake pardons. True Life, brother. It's a dream come true. This is how the real system is supposed to be working. I love this great country. Thank God. Let's go. And thank you so much, Colleen Beaver, with the super chat. Y'all show Colleen and Mr. Norby some love in the chat, guys. This is awesome, guys. What great news right now. So Trump came out and he posted this, said this is straight from Trump. The pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect. So you see, guys, he stopped them. From now on, trust me, everything that's shown here, we've got Pam Bondi involved, who is over the Department of Justice. Trump is involved. They don't go out and say these things without there being all the necessary legalities behind it already checked out. You know that they've been working on this since day one when Biden did all those last-minute pardons. He said, I want to say this again, all the pardons are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by autopen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them. And the other people that did may have committed a crime. Therefore, those on the unselect committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. That's where Pam Bondi comes into play, guys. The fact is they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. Guys, this is huge. Biden was not cognitively there. The Democrats are in panic right now. No, they literally, all this happened behind the scenes. And now, guys, remember, Anthony Fauci, that's a big one. All this stuff is about to come out of the woodworks, and we're getting more and more details by the minute. Thank you so much, Gene Kopech, for the super chat. Let's go. Biden was cognitively impaired, plus he was morally and ethically bankrupt. I agree 100%. And Lourdes Laplante, welcome to the family. Let's go. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Check this out.
Some of them not. You've never seen Fauci shake like that. They caught him. Rat's been caught. He got a pardon from Donald Trump. What? I'm sorry, he got a pardon from Joe Biden, correction. And it's Donald Trump saying that pardon is null and void. Why would you pardon Dr. Fauci? What admission of guilt? I mean, how much more can you admit to? He straight up says he's about to release a virus. He says it on camera he's about to release a virus during President Trump's administration. He promises it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to get to our next story because I need to talk to Mike Davis about this. Amazing thing that happened over the weekend. But man, this auto pen scandal, this ain't going anywhere. This is going to be very, very juicy and very, very interesting. And man, talk about effing around and finding out. They installed Joe Biden. He's clearly, utterly, and totally non-compos matus. And they lied about it. And now they might not even be able to get their pardons. They might have everything overturned. We'll see how far this goes. Okay, here we go. White House blasts judge for attempting to halt deportation flights to El Salvador. No lawful basis. Oh yeah, baby. This happened this weekend where a federal judge, said that flights carrying third world criminal rapists, terrorists, and gang members had to turn around in order to come back to America. So we must re-import criminal aliens who are dangerous murderers and rapists. Democrat judges are now ruling that they actually have to come back to America on their way out. Yeah, well, effed around and found out, this judge, his rulings don't apply over international waters. Turns out the planes were already on their way to El Salvador, and they landed, and we got rid of the criminal aliens. U.S. District Judge James Bossberg recently ordered an immediate stop to the deportation order to determine whether Trump's invocation of the 1798 Act, this is the Alien Enemies Act, was legal. But a Trump administration official told Fox News that the planes carrying the migrants had already left the United States airspace when the judge issued the order. In a statement to Fox News Sunday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the Trump administration did not refuse to comply with the court order. The order, which had no lawful basis, was issued after terrorist Tren de Aragua aliens had already been removed from the United States territory. Leavitt said, the written order and the administration's actions do not conflict. Moreover, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly made clear, federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs, his authorities under the Alien Enemies Act, and core Article 2 powers to remove foreign alien terrorists from U.S. soil, and to repel an invasion, Caroline added. A single judge in a single city cannot direct the movements of an aircraft carrier full of foreign alien terrorists who is physically expelled from U.S. soil. That's obviously true. However, it is something that needs to be decided at the Supreme Court, I think, once and for all, and very, very definitively. Ladies and gentlemen, just to get you a little extra nugget of joy and happiness this morning, here are the flights landing in El Salvador. These criminal aliens being taken to the single harshest, most secure terrorist holding facilities on Earth. Okay. What will happen at the Supreme Court? Like, this is getting to the point of absurdity. It's getting to the point where it's quite dangerous. I saw a post yesterday morning. At what point will America be at war and a district judge in Washington, D.C. will be approving troop movements on the battlefield? Where's the end to judicial overreach into Article 2? Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the man behind the Article 3 project is joining the program right now to answer these important questions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Davis. Mike?
Guys, again, what you're about to hear next, we're literally getting the details. All this stuff that's happening, Trump is on it like nobody's business to prevent federal activist judges from controlling the United States of America. If this can happen to Trump, this could happen to any president, and that's not how our country works. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up like button. Thank you so much for your support. I want to give some love to Jeff Loves the Truth and Miss B for the super chats. Let's go. Y'all show this some love in the chat.
We have to re-import terrorists to America because a judge says so. Luckily, they didn't capture Osama bin Laden because no doubt a judge would have released him right onto the streets of Manhattan. What the hell is going on here? It seems incredibly dangerous, but also really scary for our constitutional structure.
It is very dangerous and very dangerous for our constitutional structure. You're exactly right, Ben. President Trump campaigned on the facts that he's going to designate Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, which President Trump did on Saturday. He's rounding up these terrorists. He put them on airplanes and he's sent them the hell out of our country, which he has the absolute rights and duty to do as the commander-in-chief under Article 2 of our Constitution. So not only does he have the statutory duty under this act from 250 years ago, he has the power under Article 2 of the Constitution as commander-in-chief. And you have this pattern now where these Democrat operatives and attorneys run to these Democrat activist judges and they're trying to sabotage the presidency. They're trying to sabotage President Trump because they got their asses kicked in the election on November 5th, 2024. So they don't have the House. They lost the Senate where we have a comfortable margin supporting President Trump. President Trump has the White House. And so these activists are running to activist judges and they're trying to sabotage the presidency with these clearly unlawful temporary restraining orders. And it started, Ben, with this Judge Ali, this new radical judge on the D.C. District Court who barely got confirmed. He's a Canadian citizen still as a federal judge. He bragged that he's the first Muslim, he's the first Arab federal D.C. judge. And he tried to tell the president that he had to send $2 billion in foreign aid over the president's objection when the president wanted to do a national security review to make sure there's not waste, fraud, and abuse, to make sure that we're not funding Hamas terrorists. And so he did that. And then here we are 2 weeks later, where this D.C. Obama judge, Jeb Boasberg, who is supposed to be the most moderate of the radicals, but he's still a radical. He's only 90% radical instead of 100% radical. And this judge on Saturday ran into his chambers and he moonlighted as the commander-in-chief because he thought he had the power to tell the president of the United States to turn around planes full of foreign terrorists and return them to the United States. Fortunately, this did not happen. President Trump will say there may have been a misunderstanding, but I hope President Trump said F you to Judge Boasberg, Bozo, the clown judge in D.C., because this judge, what he was trying to order is the most dangerous thing imaginable, interfering with an ongoing national security operation, sabotaging the presidency, putting American lives and our allies' lives in grave danger. You saw the video, Ben, with the El Salvadorian president released the video of the intense planning and security of the handoff of these terrorists from America to El Salvador. And this judge wants to tip off our enemies by alerting them that this operation is ongoing. This judge wants to tell the president he has to turn around planes in midair over the Gulf of America. Is this judge, does he understand if there's fuel in the plane? I've been saying this, Ben, unless this judge is a black trans woman, I don't think he's qualified to be an air traffic controller. So I think he's out of...
Guys, do y'all see this? Again, out of order, out of line. They are taking steps to try and dismantle Trump's authority in any single way possible. And what I love is that no matter what they do, guys, We always have the Constitution behind us. We have facts and common sense behind us. What you're about to hear next, this reporter literally gets humiliated in front by Tom Homan for the exact very same thing of just using common sense. This is how you can get by with these people. And guys, I hope you enjoy this because I did. Because I hate it whenever they try to twist the truth and the facts are the facts. Listen to this.
You say to those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
An old law?
He said, what do you say to the people that say that you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process?
Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
But some would say this is...
How many more times do
Boom!
you deport El Salvador?
Y'all hear that, guys? Like, how amazing of a mic drop is that? I didn't know that Tom Homan had it in him, but he 100% mic dropped on this guy. You want to try to come in and you want to say that it's a 200-year-old law? Well, guess what? Our Constitution is older than that. What are you going to say to that? Huh? Law is a law. We're trying to clean up America. I want to say thank you to Jeff Loves the Truth for the super chat. Let's go. He said, Joel, what is the status with Josh Shapiro and the accusations he had something to do with threatening on Trump? So the everything that I've been seeing, Jeff, is that there is investigations. That's as far as I can say. Like, investigations have started. They're digging into it, but there hasn't been any released evidence that they're going to do something. But that's why I pulled this on screen, brother, because you already thinking what I'm thinking. Dan Bongino officially sworn in as the deputy director of the FBI. What was one of the very first things that Bongino said we got to go after and we got to get the news on? He said the assassination attempts. We know nothing about the Butler assassination attempt that happened in Pennsylvania. We know nothing about what happened at Trump's golf course. And this is where we can expect we're going to start seeing some dang details. Because you know Bongino, guys, this guy is going to come in and make it happen just like Kash Patel has been happening. Thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. He said, do you think all who thought they had president pardons? I want to see them all scatter like tiny... Yeah, they're probably going to start flying out of the United States now, going to different countries. And said, right on, brotherhood. Thanks to everyone. Echo shares donations to the family here. Love y'all all, brothers and sisters. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby and Jeff Loves the Truth some love in the chat. Guys, this is exciting times. The Democrats are falling in terms of their polling numbers to the lowest on record. We are bringing the truth like nobody's business. And with this, we are seeing that Trump's 100 first days are kicking everybody's butt for a MAGA first agenda. Check this out.
Array that continues today. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer backtracking, throwing his support behind the Republican spending bill. Now, the far left calling for him to step down from his leadership role. Meanwhile, new polling shows that most voters hold historic unfavorable views of the party. Never been this low. Those numbers, record polling that we have found at NBC and CNN. Aisha Hasni has more on the Hill. Aisha, good morning to you as we begin a new week there in Washington.
Bill, good morning to you as well. The weekend really didn't help cool any minds out there. For his part, Leader Schumer is still trying to defend that decision last week, although not very many of his colleagues are out there publicly coming to his defense either. I will say that Senator Chris Murphy, who is widely seen as someone who could possibly replace the Democratic leader, says that he still supports Schumer, but warned that the strategy for the Democrats has to change.
If you are a Democrat in the Senate or in the House, you have to start acting with urgency. And that is the conversation that we have to start having inside our caucus.
Meanwhile, people are talking a lot more about this. House Democrats calling for AOC to primary Schumer. And Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett went on the record on Sunday warning the leader that everyone is watching his leadership in this moment. Crockett also firing back at Senator John Fetterman over his criticism of the viral Find Your Fighter video. She shot back saying, why would anybody want to listen to someone who wears a sweatshirt short to the Capitol, doesn't own a suit? Check this out. When you talk about polling here. This is a brand new CNN poll asking, who do you think the leader of the Democratic Party is? 10% Bill, said AOC, followed by former
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I love this, guys. We literally have exposed the Democratic Party like nobody's business. And just remember, 4 years ago, they were on top.
Vice President Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, and the list goes on. There was really no Democrat that overwhelmingly led the pack, and that is the concern the Democrats have here on Capitol Hill. What is their message, and who is going to be the voice that leads them? A lot of questions about whether that is Leader Schumer.
Good deal. Okay, Aisha, thanks for watching that. Aisha Hazen on Capitol Hill. Thank you. Dana?
Kayleigh McEnany joins us. So it must be Monday, and a good one indeed. So let's start with President Trump, though. NBC News polls on direction of the country. November of 2024, election month, that was 27% thought it was headed the right direction. Now it's 44%. It is a stunning increase in just a few months.
It's a big deal. And NBC notes that he has three numbers at an all-time high in their polling. The right direction number, his approval rating, which is at 47% in NBC, and his personal favorability. All three metrics, President Trump has hit a record high, and that right direction number is pretty hard to shift. So this is America saying, we're behind this. Yes, we're still jittery about inflation. There's some apprehension there. But I mean, when you dig down into the nuts and bolts, 56% think he's making good change on immigration. Who would have said 8 years ago that the person who's saying, I want to build the wall and deport immigrants, would have 56% approval? The country has changed, and they've changed in line with President Trump.
So on DOGE, too, the NBC poll found 46 to 40%. 13% undecided. They support what's happening so far with the government.
With DOGE, you said.
With DOGE.
So with DOGE, yes, there was this bifurcation where in principle, and we see this in almost every poll, at NBC as well, in principle, people support DOGE. In practice, it's underwater by about 6-7 points. So I think that's where the PR is hugely important. Elon Musk continuing to put out the examples of hamsters in cages running and the spending he's cut and all the nonsense examples of government spending we've seen can help that in practice number come up to meet the number in principle, because a plurality support President Trump on cutting spending. We see that in the poll. It's DOGE specifically.
The other thing that happened this weekend is that Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats on the Senate side, found himself as public enemy number one. Here's the Wall Street Journal Ed Board, though, saying that Chuck Schumer's finest hour, that Democrats are furious because he saved them from being responsible for a futile government shutdown. But boy, they are mad.
They are very mad. And, you have Hakeem Jeffries. How often do you see the two titular heads of the Democrat Party so at odds? And very much you see that here. There's this really interesting tension going on in the Democratic Party where broadly you see people saying, and in the NBC poll, hey, you're too critical of Trump. But when you dig down to Democratic voters specifically, to the tune of 57% in the CNN poll, 65% in NBC, they want to fight. They want to see their party fighting. So you have the base, probably the crowd that supports the biological men and women's sports, some of the anti-Israel protests. That crowd wants a fight, and that is your base. But you win that group, and you ostracize the vast majority of voters. So
I don't know how you recover from this. Trump drives so much of this every day. It almost, to me, it feels like Democrats are always playing catch up.
Yeah.
Do you have to wait until a midterm election, more than a year and a half away, in order to catch the leader? Because the leader's doing it right now.
Well, you have people trying to do creative things, like Gavin Newsom with the podcast. It's really fascinating. He's talking to these Republican figures. He's out there, but then I see data that says he's actually tanking in the polling because he's losing some of his base. So you find this tension where you need a Barack Obama, plain and simple. You need someone who can win progressives, appeal to the vast majority. You need a leader of the party. But how do you find that when you have such an entrenched base? I think Gavin Newsom's probably the best example of someone trying to do it. Whether he'll be successful, the data is really premature.
But nobody's doing the thing.
But you see, the worst part about it is with Gavin Newsom is that his party in his state, you already have the evidence that he doesn't know how to run a state. They're in debt. They spent billions of dollars on homelessness with no record whatsoever as to where the money went, and now they have worse homelessness. So how could you expect him to actually win an election or appeal to the moderates when it's like, look, brother, you've ran your state into the ground. For the first time in like 100 plus years, people are leaving your state than coming to it. And nobody wants to be in California because of all the taxes and regulation and things like that. But the best news today, guys, is what you're seeing on the screen. Trump, Biden, January 6th panel pardons. Others void because of auto pin use. Trump has officially, guys, this is official. The Biden pardons are not enforceable. They are vacant. They are void. They cannot protect the Hunter Biden family. They cannot protect Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, or the January 6th committee. This is accountability. Want to say thank you so much, Scott Matthews, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, black trans woman, new Stevie Nicks hit hello. Let's go. Guys, y'all show Scott some love in the chat. Hey, Mike can get super funny. But again, too, it's the truth. What we're seeing now is a decimation of the Democratic Party. There's literally not anybody above 10% in their leadership team, in the entire leadership, who is the leader of their party. And what I love is what you're about to see next, guys, because remember, we got to bring you the truth no matter where it comes from. And when it comes from CNN telling everybody that, okay, Democrats suck, Republicans are doing great, MAGA is doing great, this is what I love because this is common sense. Check this out.
Spare all I have to say, Democrats, call your office. You know, we're March Madness times. Terrible, 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 to quote the great Charles Barkley. View Democratic Party favorably. CNN SRS, look at this, 29%. NBC News, you want to go lower than that? How about 27%? Both are record lows. The lowest going back to 1992 in CNN polling. The lowest going back on record to 1990 in NBC News polling. The majority of Americans hold an unfavorable or negative view of the Democratic Party at this point. All I can say is I'm a big fan of the oldies, so I'm going to quote Chubby Checker. How low can you go?
Nice.
Wow.
Well done. With that, what about congressional Democrats specifically?
Yeah, what about congressional Democrats specifically? You think these numbers are low? How about this one? Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove, 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right here really driving all of this. If Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77%. Should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C., 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say they should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply put not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats with more disapproving than approving.
Yeah, it seems that these Senate Democrats, some of them are banking on the idea that there is still a political middle, as it were. We will see. We will see.
We will see if there's a
Guys, what we're seeing is just common sense. It's just the truth. What we're seeing is accountability right here, guys. This just broke. FAFO. Fani Willis ordered to pay $54,000 for violating open records laws in Trump case. FAFO, they tried to go after Trump. They tried to do all these things, change the law, all the evidence, all that, and boom. Now they're being held accountable, and it's about dang time, guys. If you appreciate this, hit that thumbs up like button. Thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, I see is the Democrats, with the few exceptions of a couple of them, that the majority of them won't be getting in the votes in the midterms. I see the Democrat Party now changing their ways, but their ways never change. Hey, y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. I told you guys, in the next 2 elections, I truly believe that the Democratic Party, there's something that's going to come out of it, just like we had MAGA come out of the Republicans. You're going to see something come out of the Democratic Party that's going to try to separate themselves, still have the basis of Democrats, but it's going to be something brand new. Why? Because they're getting exposed, guys, from the man, the myth, the legend himself, our boy Elon Musk, on all the crazy corruption that they've been finding. Check this out.
Let me just say,
never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. The first 50 days the president has spent in office, over the top. And the first 50 days you've spent, I don't think there's ever been anyone to have an impact the way you have at the beginning. Let me start with a question you know a lot about. Which was worse, the mess you found at Twitter or the mess you found in the federal government?
Well, it's hard to compete with the federal government.
What surprised you about the federal government? I assume you came in and assumed it was bad. Is it worse than you expected?
It is worse than I expected, but on the plus side, that means there's more opportunity for improvement.
Let's go.
So if you look on the bright side, there's actually a lot of opportunity for improvement in federal government expenditures because it's so bad. If it was a well-run ship, it would be very difficult to improve.
So
so now it's like people say, well, how will you figure out how to save money in the federal government? Well, it's like being in a room where the walls, the roof, and the floor are all targets. So you shoot in any direction,
and you're
you
going to
can't
win.
miss.
Wow.
Again, I'm sure you would agree.
So a lot of folks have talked about like
you can't
miss.
You can't miss. Yeah, just go any direction.
A lot of the crazy expenditures, things like $2 million for sex change surgeries in Guatemala,
an essential.
Transgendered mice and Sesame Street in Iraq. A lot of that has gotten attention, but some of the stuff you've told me about, tell us about computer licenses in government agencies.
Yeah. So most of what DOGE is finding, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. Okay, it's very obvious, basic stuff. So in every government department, I say every because we've not yet found a single exception. There are far too many software licenses and media subscriptions, meaning many more software licenses and media subscriptions than there are humans in the department.
Like you were saying, like an agency with 15,000 people might have 30,000 licenses.
Yes.
And even of the 15,000 employees, a good chunk of them hadn't used the license, had never logged on or used the application.
Yes. We found entire situations of software licenses or media subscriptions where there were 0 logins.
Wow.
So it had
and yet we were paying for it.
Yes, so the government was paying for thousands of licenses of software or media subscriptions, and no one had ever logged in even once.
Or like credit cards. You found the same thing with government credit cards.
We found that there are twice as many credit cards as there are humans.
And I
still don't have a good explanation for why this is the case. And these are $10,000 limit cards. So it's a lot of money.
Is it incompetence that you're finding, or is this like the biggest money laundering scheme in the history of the world that you're finding?
Look, I think it's mostly, if you say, look, what's the waste to fraud ratio?
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like 80% waste, 20% fraud. But you do have these sort of gray areas.
Yeah.
So,
example
would be, we saw a lot of payments going out of Treasury that had no payment code and no explanation for the payment. And then we're trying to figure out what that payment is, and we'd see that, okay, that contract was supposed to be shut off, but someone forgot to shut off that contract, and so the company kept getting money.
Wow.
Now, is that waste or fraud?
Yeah, both.
Both?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
But
both.
it's sort of
if you know you're getting something you're not supposed to get.
You're not supposed to get it, but the government sent it to you, and nobody from the government asked for it back. Or take, for example, the $1.9 billion given to Stacey Abrams, a fake NGO.
Utter insanity.
Explain that. Forget to know the story.
That's corrupt. That's just corrupt, I think. That's paying off cronies at that point.
1,000%.
Yeah. And by the way, she knew. Like when you get $2 billion, you don't miss that. That's not
an accident.
That's not.
Allegedly, it was for like.
And guys, I just want to preface what he's saying. Stacey Abrams, their NGO had literally been set up for like less than a year, and had like $100 in the bank. It had $100 in the bank. Imagine you have $100 in the bank and you're able to go get $2 billion from the federal government. Corruption, 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 guys. This is what we're talking about. And if it's happening once, it's probably happening multiple times. And if it's happening multiple times, it's probably been happening for a while. The American people have been screwed over for a long time by our own politicians who have been lining their pockets, helping out their buddies, being taken care of by these lobbyists on the taxpayer dimes. And what do they say? What do the Democrats always say we need to do? Raise taxes, raise taxes. I'm telling you guys, like this stuff, it really bothers me because I know that there's seniors out there that need help. We got to take care of our seniors where they should at least be getting $3,000 a month rather than some getting only $900. Let me know your thoughts.
Environmentally friendly appliances or something, and they've given like 100 appliances so far for $2 billion. It's a very expensive toaster.
But they're really nice.
One hell of an appliance.
That Sub-Zero fridge, boy, it's nice.
Right. This is obviously one of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy. Is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls. And then there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. So there's no. So this is where with the $1.9 billion to Stacey Abrams, they then give themselves extremely lavish, like insane salaries. Expense everything to the nonprofit. Buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes.
On the taxpayer dime.
Jets, guys.
You mentioned this is happening at scale. It's not just one or two. We're seeing this everywhere.
Now, one of the things you told me about is what you call
insane.
Magic money computers at the Treasury.
So
tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that that the government computers all talk to each other. They synchronize. They add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. There's and that the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
One would think. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, there's one or two at State, there's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
You have an ability to see where leverage points are and how things actually happen. So I remember back, I think it was September, October of this year, before the election, we didn't know who was going to win. And I was at your house in Austin. We were talking about it. And you said, you said, look, I don't want a job in Washington. And you said, all I want is the login for every computer. And I remember thinking at the time that sounded kind of weird. Like I just didn't get it. And I have to say what's interesting on this, if I would have thought like, okay, how do you reform government? Like sort of the traditional way to think about it is, okay, give me an org chart. Let me sit down with the people who are running agencies. And what you saw immediately is to understand what's really going on, get to the payment systems, get to the computers.
Yeah.
Why is getting to the computers so critical to understanding what's actually happening?
Well, the government is run by computers. So you've got essentially several hundred computers that effectively run the government. And if you want to know...
Did you know that, Ben?
No.
Yeah. So when somebody, even when the president issues an executive order, that's got to go through a whole bunch of people until ultimately it is implemented at a computer somewhere. And if you want to know what the situation is with the accounting and you're trying to reconcile accounting and get rid of waste and fraud, you must be able to analyze the computer databases. Otherwise, you can't figure it out. Because all you're doing is asking a human who will then ask another human, and finally usually ask some contractor who will ask another contractor to do a query on the computer.
Wow.
That's how it actually works. So it's many layers deep. So the only way to reconcile the databases and get rid of waste and fraud is to actually look at the computers and see what's going on.
So
that's what I call, that's what when I sort of cryptically refer to reprogramming the matrix. You have to understand what's going on at the computers. You have to reconcile the computer databases in order to identify the waste and fraud.
I don't know that there was any
guys. Let me tell you this
Congress.
Again, this is where we are getting the details of things that are happening like we never have in our entire life. That's why this is so important, because this is the first steps into accountability at the highest level when it comes to politicians, even like Anthony Fauci, even like these other people that have been playing the governmental system, using our taxpayer dollars for nefarious reasons. And literally, what do they tell us? They tell us, shut up, pay your taxes, and then things will always be like they are. And now we actually have people that don't need these paychecks from the government, like Elon Musk. Dude has hundreds of billions of dollars, who says, I just want to fix things. I just want to make things better. And I appreciate that so much because, again, too, a person who doesn't need the government is the perfect person to go in and fix it. I want to say thank you so much, Andy, for the super chat. Let's go. He said ACLU filed a class action suit for 5 of these criminals, and this traitor judge approved it. Send the judge to Kehoe prison too. 100%. Guys, it makes no sense whenever it comes to federal judges trying to tell the president how to do his dang job. Gene Kopedge, thank you for the super chat, who said the tide has gone out and the Democrats have been caught swimming naked. 100%. Y'all show Gene and Andy some love in the chat. And guys, again, too, this is only the beginning, because right here on screen, these two guys are pretty much, to me, the definition of FAFO. Not only did Kash Patel prove that the Steele dossier was fake and it came from the Hillary campaign, now you got Bongino. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm so excited to see what's coming out, because Trump has already told us what's coming. Trump has already shown us that, look, things are about to change. The people I'm bringing in, this is what they're about to do next. Check this out.
Some others that are involved with it indirectly. And what the lawyers do is they're doing it to the Supreme Court justices, hoping that they'll be overcome by the horrible things they say about them. They say things about Supreme Court justices and judges that are just horrible. They're playing the ref. Remember the way they treated Justice Thomas and Justice Alito and Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Gorsuch. Chief Justice Roberts get treated unbelievably badly, and they're hoping that they can sway them to go along, because, again, what do? They're humans. You know, it would be wonderful if everybody was just a perfect computer machine, but they're not. They're humans, and they don't want to be accused of many, many things, including gross incompetence. They don't like it, and they don't want it. There's not much they can do about it. You know, they're in a position they can't really fight back really very well. And so what they do is sometimes they get weak. I would say a majority, maybe, of the times. That's why I'm so impressed with Judge Cannon in Florida, how strong she was, how she held up. It actually made her more resolute than anything I've seen. I mean, it was amazing because they were hitting her so hard. It was so sad to watch this. But it's sad what they do to other judges. It's very sad what they do to the Supreme Court. And a lot of the judges that I had, if you look at them, they take tremendous abuse in the New York Times and the Washington Post, all of the different networks. They take such abuse. And honestly, very simply, they're afraid of bad publicity. They don't want bad publicity. And it's truly interference, in my opinion, and it should be illegal, and it probably is illegal in some form. There's no difference than speaking to a judge or shouting to a judge or doing whatever you have to do in a courthouse. They're doing it behind the back. They're usually doing it anonymously. They're saying anonymously, off the record, the judge is no good, but everybody knows where it's coming from. And it's totally coordinated. It's a campaign, and it's by the same scum that you have been dealing with for years, like guys like Andrew Weissman, deranged Jack Smith. There's a guy named Norm Eisen. I don't even know what he looks like. His name is Norm Eisen of Cruz. He's been after me for 9 years. Now, Cruz is a charitable organization. And the reason I'm saying this, Todd, is I'm only going to get one chance to say this. But these are bad people. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he looks like. But everything I read is normalizing of Cruz. And Cruz is a charitable organization. And that's a political thing. His sole life is to get Donald Trump. And he's been vicious and violent. And he's trying. And he probably had pretty good success over the years. But with me, how did he do? I think I'm president. Am I here because I'm president? But we had to take all of that abuse. Even during the trials, we had to take tremendous abuse. Like, these wonderful guys, they're not legitimate people. They're horrible people. They're scum. And you have to know that. And you're going to have these cases where you can't allow yourselves to be deflected. You just can't let it happen. You have such a higher calling. And I believe that CNN and MSDNC, who literally write 97.6% bad about me, are political arms of the Democrat Party. And in my opinion, they're really corrupt and they're illegal. What they do is illegal. It makes no difference how big a victory I had. I can have the biggest victory in history. It makes no difference what kind of a failure the other side has. These people are going to go after me. And I said it during the big speech on Tuesday night. I said about Democrats, and I don't like that. I have great respect, by the way, for what Schumer did today. He went out and he said that they have to vote with the Republicans because it's the right thing to do. I couldn't believe what I heard. But, I think he's going to get some credit for it. I think, let's see what happens tonight with the big vote as it comes. But these networks and these newspapers are really no different than a highly paid political operative. And it has to stop. It has to be illegal. It's influencing judges, and it's really changing law, and it just cannot be legal. I don't believe it's legal. And they do it in total coordination with each other. And everything we do, we're restoring law, restoring order, and restoring public safety in America. That's what we want to do. And we're bringing honor and integrity and accountability back to the highest levels of the FBI, DOJ, and throughout our government. We're bringing our country back faster than anyone ever thought possible. We're working so hard at doing it, and we want fairness in the courts. The courts are a big factor. The elections, which were totally rigged, are a big factor. We have to have honest elections. We have to have borders, and we have to have courts and law that's fair.
Guys, let me tell you again, what do I love about what Trump says? Everything he says, whether it's the court systems, whether it is his people, whether it's even with this, that it's all about fairness. It's all about, hey, how can we get equal? Even with the whole Russia-Ukraine. Guys, let's just be fair. Let's have fair peace talks. What about our tariffs? Let's just have fair tariffs. You charge us 10%, we're charging you 10%. We're going to be fair, and that's what I love. That's what we need, especially coming from the highest seat. What did he say? It doesn't matter what I do. No matter how bad the other side is. CNN, MSNBC, 80-90% of their coverage of me is negative. That's not fair. It's not right. And that's what I love, is that he's exposing these things. He's bringing these things to light, and it's showing everybody that's why everybody's like, yeah, we're on the right direction. Because it's not just they suck, they're bad, they're horrible. It's like, guys, let's just be fair. We have good policies. We want to put America first. Let's continue to do that. Thank you so much, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, hey, I want to see Pam Bondi go after Nancy Pelosi for setting up a liquor stand that delivers inside the D.C. Capitol building during business hours and on the taxpayer dime. What's up with that? Hey, me too, brother. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. Because again, too, there is even that there's so many politicians, guys, that they get $1,000 stipends a month to be able to go rent a car. $1,000 for the rent of car that they can use while they're in Washington, D.C. But yet we struggle to give our seniors $1,000, $1,200. Like, this is the complete just backwards mentality that they have in Washington, D.C. It's politicians first, America second. But what I love is that Trump is America first and then everybody else. And that's the way it should be. And I love it. I thank God that we're moving in the right direction. I thank God that we are going to see accountability coming from all these politicians. And again, too, this sets the precedent for the future. Things will never be the same after this. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Sandy Richards, welcome to the family. Let's go. Want to thank you, all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, really appreciate your support. I want to say that, okay, today is the last day for the t-shirts. For the pre-order, guys, whenever these, we stopped the pre-order tonight. So whatever the orders have been put in, that's what we're going to go with. And then we'll have a little bit extra, but these are limited quantities. So if you want to grab one, grab one. Remember that members get 15% off. If you are a member, you can go to our community post on this channel and find that 15% off code. Remember, only members can see it. But I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported us with that so far. And guys, just want to say thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description. We're about to give to a charity again, guys. And what I love is that because, you know, we're counting the money as it's coming in throughout the month, is that we're continuing to give thousands of dollars every single month to these charities. And it's literally making such a big difference. And I'm so thankful and grateful for this community that partners with us with that. Want to give some love to Mr. Norby, Colleen Beaver, Gene Copage, Lourdes Laplante, Jeff Loves the Truth, Miss B, Scott Matthews, Andy. Guys, y'all show them some love in the chat. What an amazing, amazing day for news. And I know we've got more coming, guys. But love you all. Appreciate you so much. And we'll see you in the